Okay, so let's get going because Joe's got like a 10 o'clock deadline because he has to go to sleep because he's a loser. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
whose fault is that?
Mine for having a job.
Imagine having a job. Couldn't be me. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on another steaming hot edition of Cup of Joe's. I'm your host, Joe Brown, joined by my best friend, Joe Perrion, here on episode 80 of the podcast. A very special episode, somewhat of a full circle episode as we welcome our good friend, Adam Dorricott, Adam Dazalan Dorricott, or Daz for short. Now, Adam, it is great to see you, and you, I don't know if you remember, you were actually our first ever guest on Cup of Joe's.
It was a while back. I do remember doing it. I remember exactly where I was. I was in my old apartment recording it, and so I'm very grateful to come back and complete the loop.
And so, fun fact, so I'm looking on YouTube because I was trying to see when this episode was, and this episode actually predates our YouTube uploads, which was episode 30 and onward. So this is ancient. It doesn't even exist anymore. It might be on my old laptop, but our old account that our first 30 or 29 episodes were on Podbean just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So it's literally gone to history. It's, like the Library of Alexandria, and the first 29 episodes of Cup of Joe's are both been burned down. But do you happen to remember what the topic of conversation was at the time?
Weren't we talking Sword and Shield?
We were literally talking. We saw Grookey, we saw Sobble, and we saw Score Bunny. And that's what we were talking about. And here we are 3 years later, and the same thing just happened last week. We got the Generation 9 reveal. So, we'll start off with that, Adam, and, what are your general thoughts? Because this episode we are going to review Pokémon Legends Arceus. So we'll do that. We'll make sure we cover that. But start off with the more immediate news for you, Adam. What were your initial thoughts when you saw it was actually real, Scarlet and Violet were revealed?
Well, first of all, I thought it was a Pokemon Detective Pikachu trailer.
Same.
That's what Joe said.
Yep, it had the film noir look, and then they threw out this new region. I try not to get too excited about reveal trailers, because obviously it's always going to be a little bit different by the time the game comes around. But we've got this brand new system. I'm hoping that keeps going. Obviously, we'll get to Legends Arceus, but that system, I think, has been very, very successful. And the starters, I kind of liked all of them for the first time. I think when we discussed Sword and Shield, I was on the fence about a few, but these three look very much like what I expect from the set of starting Pokemon that we get. So obviously, Final Evolution is going to make that a little bit different, but a lot of potential. I like that we're not going to be waiting a year or so for this game to come out. We're finding out about it, and it's 6-7 months down the line, and we can just get into it.
Yeah, listen, all I'm going to say, I agree with you with the starters. I like all of them. I, for the most part, am very easygoing when I'm not going to be too critical on the first evolution of the starters because you're with them for 2.5 hours or something like that. I think I'm a lot more critical on the final evolutions designs. But I just want to throw it out there that if Joe Perrion and Fuecoco were both hanging off a cliff and I only had one hand and I could only save one of them, catch me at Joe Perrion's funeral hanging out with Fuecoco. That's all I'm going to say.
I think you're making the right decision. I'm sorry, Joe.
Wow.
Come on, Joe. Have you seen Fuecoco? You got to get it.
The internet keeps making fun of him right now.
Why? He's so precious.
Keeps saying he looks like a big dumb idiot.
That's what I love about him. He does look like a big dumb idiot. It's a positive.
What is it? They keep using, on TikTok especially for this, they keep using a clip or a sound bit from Aqua Team Hunger Force that goes, he needs to learn some manners. And he goes, look at him and tell me that there is a God. And then it cuts over to Fuecoco and he goes, I was made in his own image.
I think the counter argument to that is, they're all good because they're all getting meme attention.
Yes.
If there was like a bad one, it would be getting left alone, but they're all getting this meme attention in their own loved way, I guess. Yes, Fuecoco looks strange, but it's getting more love than some of the others.
He looks like Totodile's derpier cousin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the Aqua Teen Hunger Force soundbite. I was made in his own image. Like, yep.
I was made in his own image. Another joke meme I saw about Fuecoco, and actually Scorch Bunny was in it too. It was like, who in their right mind be throwing cheese strips on top of all these Pokemon?
Oh, I did see that.
You saw that one? Yeah,
who's throwing craft singles on all the fire types?
Yeah, it was really funny.
I didn't notice it until somebody pointed it out, and then immediately after I read that post, I was on TikTok, I will own up to that, and I immediately got the video of the man who throws the craft singles over his shoulder onto his partner's face.
Oh my god,
yeah.
So it got a hearty laugh out of me.
Oh,
it was very fun.
It's so weird with these Pokemon designs, right? Because obviously we don't know what's left on the cutting room floor, right? We only see the final products of it. So, like, what was the evolution along the way on Fuecoco that he needed to have a little craft singles cheese, piece stuck to his belly like that?
I don't know. I do not know.
Now, I think there's just one guy on the design team who's seeing how long he can get away with it for. Now he's been caught, never again.
Well, yeah, because remember there's been like 4 fire starters that have the Chimchar like foot stance thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I think they are just trying to see how long they can get away with it. And then once it got caught with Score Bunny, they're like, all right, now we got a crocodile. Now he can't. He's too fat to lift his leg like that. He can't do the same pose. But I will. So I'll ask Adam, because we like all 3 of the first starters here. For the most part, I think people liked Gen 8's first evolutions. I wasn't a big Sabo guy, and I know Joe was, and that was a contention we had. But Sabo, for the most part, he's cute. He's passable. But which of these 3 Pokemon do you think could get the Inteleon treatment? And you know darn well what I mean.
Oh,
I don't know what that means.
Okay, everybody loved the first 3 starters, right?
Yeah.
Everybody loved Score Bunny. Everybody loved Rillaboom.
Nobody went Inteleon.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh, I did though.
No, you did out of loyalty to Sabo, which I respect. But I'm just saying, if one of these 3 starters got Inteleon, who do you think it's going to be? They're going to start cute, and then people will go, "Oh God, no!"
It's going to be Sprigatito, hasn't it?
No, it's going to be Quaxodatl. It's going to be Quaxodatl.
First of all, it's Quaxley. So.
Oh, I combined another Pokemon.
Yeah. Quaxley and Aerodactyl had a baby, and
yeah, Quaxodatl.
I think it's got to be Sprigatito. I think people, if I had to bet like my life savings, which is not a lot of money, but I would put it all down, that Sprigatito is not going to look like what we think it should probably look like.
We've learned this lesson before. We learned this lesson with Litten, right? You saw Litten and you were like, wow, that's going to be a baller cat Pokemon. And you get to Incineroar and think, okay, that's still a Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
What if Sprigatito's final evolution is just straight up green and black Incineroar, and he's Grass Dark with Intimidate and Fake Out, and oh my god.
That'd be awful. I would regret choosing. You know what? I do need to see what the final evolutions are before I pick mine. I gotta
save for the Intimidate. Is that not just Shiftry at that point?
And mythical legend Zarude, if you remember him.
How many people often talk about Zarude?
Without the Sandstorm meme attached to it, nobody.
Right. I'm not saying it wasn't successful, and I'm sure it did very well as a promotional piece, but I don't know many people that frequently talk, hey, have you picked up a new Zarude recently?
Yeah. I would say if you said Grass Dark, people would say Shiftry. They wouldn't say Zarude.
No, definitely Shiftry is my go-to on that one.
Yes. And then oh my god, why am I blanking? Isn't Cradily Grass Dark? No, like isn't he Grass Rock? What is Cradily?
Grass Rock.
Grass Rock. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Joe. What were you saying?
I was gonna ask a question about something, but I can't remember it now.
Is that helpful?
You're the worst, you know?
I remember. So Dawes, me and Joe Brown figured out the connections between Scarlet and Violet. Have you figured it out yet?
No, I was just happy that we went back to colors for the moment. To be honest, we had got a little bit far away from it.
Just a
and
smidge.
I'm quite glad that they've proved there's still colors available.
Okay.
Sun and Moon, we went a little bit away. I mean, they're just colors again.
Yeah. So to give you a brief rundown of what we think it probably is, so when talking about visible wavelengths of light that you can actually see, Violet and Scarlet are the two extremes on that like wavelength scale. So Violet is the lowest wavelength color that you can see, and like red or Scarlet is the highest wavelength color you can see when you look at the.
I can see it, but I'm not sure what mechanic this is going to play into.
Right. So that's
what we were talking about.
If you
this
see
can't be good news.
In the Japanese logo, there's a very like reflective light icon that looks, you know, like when Gen 7 had the Z move in the logo and Gen 6 had the Mega Crystal in the logo. So there's definitely going to be something light related. Now, like some of our assumptions, I don't know if you put any thought into this, you know, is it just going to be super Dynamax with Z moves and Megas or whatever, you know, whatever. But I was thinking, and I could totally be wrong, but the icon in the Japanese logo looks exactly like the Max Revive icon. And so light is usually healers, right, in games and different RPGs and stuff. I'm like, what if there's like some re-raise mechanic or like some built-in focus sash mechanic or something like that? Like just your lightened Pokemon can't get knocked out like that turn or something.
Well, but there was something else that we said that it could be too. I can't remember what we said.
We've danced around this idea of like shadow Pokemon and dark Pokemon as well in both the trading card game and some of the side games as well. And even Pokemon Go has the shadow Pokemon in as well. So maybe that's sort of where we're going. You know, I remember one of the early sets of TCG had dark Pokemon in. So if we're going light, I could see something like that, but I could only see kind of the dark version and not the light version come through.
Right.
Yeah.
Just something to think about. You know, we got till November to figure everything out, and I'm sure I think Yuri tweeted that he's a popular Pokemon player, Joe. He tweeted like everybody enjoy the Gen 9 mechanic now before you start playing it or something like that, and you hate it. Because at first you're like, oh, this new light thing's gonna be so hype, and then like 2 years in, you're like, oh my god, why can't we just get Dragon Gems back?
Well, wait, what did we were saying something about like it evolving into a Pokemon, kind of like how Mega Evolution worked. What was it we were talking about? Specifically that.
Kalos in this region, Spain and France are connected, and they're both, you know, in Europe. So everyone is assuming that this region and Kalos will be connected, and Kalos was where Mega Evolution was started or founded, you know, discovered, whatever you want to use. So there's speculation that that in Spain they can have some alternate version of Mega Evolution, and it would be crossover between these two regions because they're connected. And it would make sense because then at that point with the Galar region, where if you see on a map, the UK is also close to those countries, that you would then, if we're going back to Kalos, or at least having some reference to it, you could have all three European countries like on the Switch like in some represented way.
Okay.
That'd be pretty cool.
I could see that.
Just a theory. I also saw. Oh God, I wish I remembered who it was. But like someone tweeted was like, "Oh, it's gonna be Z moves again, but like just even bigger Z moves or something like that." And somebody replied, "Enye moves."
Oh Lord. I think somebody brought it up the other day. Actually, I think it was Regina. She posted about it. Like, who can actually remember all of the Z moves?
Oh yeah.
And I can only remember the ones that we saw in competitive play, but there was some deep cuts on those lists, like the specialty ones.
Yeah, like pulverizing pancake and stuff.
Yeah, I mean pulverizing pancake, hilarious, but did it stand the test of time?
I don't know. I mean, Joe's a big Snorlax fan. Maybe he appreciated it.
I did. I love Snorlax. Don't even try me with that.
The real litmus test is what treatment does Snorlax get in this game, because he got his own Z move, got his own Gigantamax form, so like that'll be the test. And will that put him in competitive play for any length of time? Because every time they're like, Snorlax just has to be played. It's the only way.
And it's so funny, right? Because it's like Snorlax keeps getting this special treatment, and he is competitive, like strong competitively, regardless of the special things. Like nobody used pulverizing pancake Snorlax, right? Like you use like the belly drum, setup version of it, and like Snorlax was like kind of decent at the beginning of Sword and Shield, but like he was just a really good tank we're setting up with the belly drum, and then you use Gigantamax Snorlax and stuff. It's not like in Gen 6 with Charizard where he got the special treatment and it was like straight up, oh no, he sets up his own sun and has overheat, or oh, he's goes physical attacker and has Dragon Dance and Tough Claws. And it's like, okay, the Mega is the reason that he's good, but Snorlax is always like, no, it's because it's Snorlax. This is why he's good.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a Pokemon. Even though the design implies he would be bad at fighting, always seems to find an opportunity, which I find interesting.
It just makes me feel good because like the fat guy's doing a good job. You know what I'm saying?
There you go, representation, right? Anyway, so let's get into the main topic of discussion here, and that's why we brought Adam on today, and that is so he could fawn over his love of Pokemon Legends Arceus. And yes, we know it's Arceus. So we should switch back and forth Arceus, but I've said Arceus for like 15 years of my life, and it's very hard to switch over to Arceus.
Hold on a minute. Wait, hold on. Didn't you literally make fun of me on Sunday for calling it that?
Absolutely not. I will not, because this was pre-show, so I'm not going to air it out into the dirty laundry. I'll tell you what you said afterwards, but I will bet my life you did not say Arceus. I will tell you after. I'm not going to embarrass you on the internet, Joe. You didn't say Arceus. That's why it was so funny.
Okay.
I struggle with this one, and I flip-flop between the two, so heads up. That's gonna happen.
Do whatever you want, man.
So you're the guest, so you get to talk first. The game's been out for over a month at this point. It had like the shortest hype cycle because a month in they revealed Gen 9. So I know the update came and there's still a lot of hype around that. But Adam, start us off with your overall opinions on Pokemon Legends Arceus.
So I kind of went in with. I tried not to watch too many trailers, or I know some people ended up getting the game early, and obviously some people, as per usual, broke street date, and I hope they have fun with cease and desists. I really don't understand why people do that. But anyway, I avoided pretty much everything. I got it. I sat down and started playing it the night of, and I genuinely thought the experience was so different to anything I'd played before. We're very used to that very traditional, very rigorous. I know they tried to break it a little bit in Sun Moon, but like, here's your Pokemon, go and beat the gyms. And to actually get a story completely different to that was so refreshing. It really engaged me from the get-go. I think it does a really good job of introducing you to it, and just the way that the game plays does really push the narrative of it's about catching Pokemon. I love that it's all about catching. The biggest thing for me is it's never quite made sense to me that if you catch one Pokemon, you learn everything about it. the way that the research works, I think, is super cool. Like, you have to catch 6 or 7 and see them use moves to complete the Pokedex entry. I actually haven't gone all the way through yet. Every time I pick up the game, I don't have as much time to play as I would like, but every time I pick up the game, I go to an area and I get very much distracted by, okay, well, I've got to go over here. All right, fine. And as I'm going over there, I'll see something. Like, oh, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to catch a bunch of those. And that has kept the engagement up for me. I'm not worried about my levels. They kind of just come naturally by playing the game. It really is just a wholesome Pokemon experience. I will say I went Rowlet to start, which looking at final evolutions, I kind of regret a little bit.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, I think traditional Rowlet path is the way to go, but alas, I should have gone Cyndaquil. I'll own that mistake. Maybe I'll replay one day and do the right thing. But no, I genuinely think this is one of the most wholesome and pure Pokemon experiences we've been given in a very long time. It's almost reminiscent of the first year of Pokemon Go, when it was just about catching Pokemon and having a good time. That's exactly what this game is like, just in the comfort of my own home. It's really hot here, and going outside to catch Pokemon is raining.
Well, I mean, you talk about this wholesome game, but the whole time everyone's telling you that Pokemon are dangerous creatures, you know. So it's not your experience is different than what the game is telling you, because they're like, watch out, this level 4 Starly is going to like murder every relative you've ever known. And then you go out there and just handle your business, and you're like, all right, I think I got this. And then they think you're just amazing. Like, I think one of the first story parts where I played as the girl, so the boy that was the friend helping out, to get into the clan, I had to catch 3 Pokemon or something. I'm like, oh my god, this is kid stuff here. That's a joke, because it's a kid's game. Thank you for getting it. And he's like, what? 3 Pokemon? Nobody in the whole clan could catch 3 Pokemon. And I'm like very confused at the story versus the gameplay of the game, because very clearly it's easy to catch 3 Pokemon. And so it just, and then they tell you things are dangerous, but then there are Pokemon that aren't really that dangerous, like they run away from you and stuff. Like, so I think like that's kind of at odds for me. And so my experience before I toss over to Joe is like, that's how I felt for most of this game, is the highs that I've experienced have been kind of counterbalanced out with some of the more frustrating things that I find, at least within the game. And like, though, like you mentioning the Pokedex and having to catch them multiple times and use the attacks multiple times as like a pro is one of the cons for me, because it seems like kind of padding to some degree, where the side quests are like, fill out this Starly's Pokedex or whatever, and so you have to then catch a bunch of them and evolve a couple of them and see them use the attacks and stuff, and that seems like that's more work than I'm willing to invest into non-essential Pokemon for my playthrough. So maybe that's the reason why my Pokemon count was considerably lower than the both of yours. But overall, I loved the game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the boss battles, like the Dark Souls battles, everyone would call them. We would call them, like, you know, I was talking with my brother, because he was watching me play. It's like, oh, I gotta fight the Dark Souls Arcanine now. So I love that stuff, and I love the game overall. But all the stuff I love kind of gets counterbalanced out to the things I don't like, and it's kind of a middling experience for me.
Okay, I can understand that. For me, this was kind of like fun, mainly because, like, I guess at my core, I'm a scientist. So the fact that this game was like, I need you to do some research, I'm like, oh, I'm your boy.
Push his glasses up. I could do
I know somebody for the job.
Literally just did that. But like, I liked that because, like, I agree with Dots. Like, it was interesting in the old Pokemon game. And so it's like, okay, I caught this guy. Apparently no one's seen this Pokemon before, but my computer that I have in my hand just literally told me everything about it. And it's like, this game was pretty much like, the thing I didn't like about the story, which kind of upset me, was the fact that it was like, you were from modern time and was sent back into the future to be a Pokemon, like, researcher. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Why can't I just been a dude from this time and just been good at it? But it was like really interesting, like learning about the Pokemon and catching them, and like having to do this a certain amount of times to get the completed Pokedex entry and all that other stuff. And it was also really cool to like see the bias and the misunderstanding that people had about Pokemon in this time because they didn't know anything about them. It's like, oh, Pokemon are super dangerous and they're here to hurt us. And then you come along and you start catching them and teaching people about them. And it's like, oh, Pokemon are just creatures that are here to exist and we can coexist with them, which was like a really cool thing to see in the Pokemon game, because one of my friends was telling me how they were like, it's really cool how in this game, how when you give somebody a Pokemon, you see them using it. Like in other games, you didn't really, like, you could give someone a Pokemon, you wouldn't necessarily see it with them. Where in this one, it's like, oh, I need a Zubat because I can't see in the dark. And they use a different thing to do echolocation to see in the dark. And then like that person who is like the Night Watch now has a Zubat next to them every time it's dark out. And like the like farmlands has like all the Pokemon that you give them helping them do the farming. And the Bidoofs, which I thought was also really fun, at one point you have to find these like 3 Bidoofs that are terrorizing the town. They like are around the town helping build stuff, and at night they're sleeping on top of the like main constructor's house, which I thought was like really cool to see, and like learning about like why these Pokemon are acting this way and like all doing all this other stuff, and like just like helping these people learn about Pokemon was like really cool, because it also taught you a little bit more about the Pokemon. You know what I'm saying? Like it was fun for me in that sense. Plus I really loved just like hiding in a bush and throwing a bunch of Pokeballs at a Pokemon and like catching 7 of them in a row. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't have to fight any of them to do it. So that was really easy. And yeah.
Yeah, I will say there was no better feeling than seeing Palkia just chilling at my ranch. You know what I mean? On the pasture.
Dude.
Like he was next to like a Sneasel and a Bidoof and whatever, and it's just like one of the most important Pokemon in the entire universe. He's just chilling. He's just hanging out in the pasture with his buddies, and it was just an adorable visual.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do, like, because like the pasture like is constantly changing and stuff every time you're in there. I had caught a few alpha Pokemon, and I was like sitting there, I was like, oh look, there's the Scyther that I caught. Like, oh man, that's really cool. And then I'd walk down and I was like, and it's like, here's the alpha Torterra that you caught that's like 10 feet tall. And it's like, this thing could eat Scyther right now. Like, what is happening? It was like insane.
Okay, so what did you guys think about that with let's talk about the difficulty and the alpha Pokemon in the wild and the scripted bosses and things like that. Like, what were your thoughts on the difficulty overall in the game? Because like some of those Dark Souls bosses, I was like, I don't know how a 6-year-old's supposed to beat this Arcanine. You know what I mean?
The Arcanine, I think, was definitely troublesome. It was just odd, and like the game does, if you lose, which I'll be honest, I did.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not afraid to admit. I hit continue with progress.
Yeah,
the game really tries to help you make sure you get there. But the first one, I mean, Cleaver was. I was like, I just dodge, right? Like
Yep.
And then the Lurantis, I think they leveled up quite nicely. It was definitely different, and I think getting out of my head of like, well, can't I just wail on this guy and like beat him like I do in every other game? Once I get past that, I was like, oh, this is very enjoyable to take my time and dance with it essentially and avoid the attacks. And overall, no, I think it was about right. I can see your point though. I do imagine there are 6-year-olds who are having an absolute torrid time. But maybe that's a bonding experience with somebody in their life who can help them get through this. Yeah. Because if they're doing it on their own, they need to be signing up for pro gamer scholarships.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for esports Arceus players. But like more than that, like just the like general Pokemon battle difficulty. Like I would face a Staravia 5 levels below me, and he uses Quick Attack, and it does 70% of my health, and I'm like, whoa! What? I think that would happen for a lot of people. Is the sheer amount of damage that was going on in the game seemed very like highly tuned. I don't know how you guys felt about that, but especially if you were in a distortion area and you get hit up by like Magmar, Electivire, and Electrode or something like that, and you just get triple teamed by them, and you have to fight all 3 of them at once. And it really seemed it was like, all right, well, if I want to catch one of these, I'm gonna have to sacrifice 4 of my Pokemon to like get the because they're all just gonna get triple teamed every time to get the one that I wanted. And like, so I don't know, for me it felt like some of the damage and stuff was just tuned a little bit too high, that more than we're used to from wild Pokemon.
I'll agree with you on that a little bit. Like, yeah, it was difficult to like figure that out. And like even like now when I'm playing like end game type of material, like my Pokemon are all upper 70s at this point, and I'll face like a Pokemon that's in like the 40-ish range or whatever, and they'll hit me with something and it'll take out like half my health, and I'll be like, okay, hold on a minute.
Yep.
What? Like, it didn't make any sense. So like that is something that that still does bother me. But at the same time, part of me doesn't know where I'm going with this conversation anymore.
There you go.
The damage is overtuned. I think I haven't obviously crunched the numbers, and somebody smarter and probably with more free time than me probably should do this. Take 2 level 50s and see what kind of percentages we'd be hitting in a traditional game. It's like a Sword and Shield. I do think it would probably come out as overtuned, particularly in the favor of the AI a little bit, because I feel my damage is about right. When I'm attacking, like if it's not super effective, I'm not getting the knockout, and that's fine. But I do feel that the AI has an edge. So I'd be curious to see somebody do those numbers. It's above my pay grade. If anyone wants to run with it, at me on Twitter when you're done.
I remember. Sorry, I remember where I was going.
For me,
yes, and let me get the fame.
Let me take the credit. Yeah. Going back to what you were saying, Joe, about the distortion stuff, is I think what the game was trying to do, but kind of failed at also doing it, was I think they wanted people to be more stealthy in the sense of trying to catch Pokemon, because you're right, like the damage does not make any sense, like at all, with some of these attacks and like the leveling system and like all that other stuff. So like I felt like they were like, okay, we want people to not always have to go in guns blazing to handle the situation, because like in the distortion things, what you were saying is like I always had to like have like 4 Pokemon that I know were gonna die, and not die but like faint, so I can catch the one that I wanted. And from then on I learned, okay, if I'm gonna go into this distortion, I need to be there before it happens, and I need to wait in the grass and like stay hidden so I can catch these Pokemon without them seeing me. And that's what I ended up doing, and now it's like really easy for me to catch like the Pokemon I want to get, because I don't get their attention until it's too late. And if I do grab their attention, I just kind of like run in a circle until they disappear, and then I crouch again, and the next Pokemon that show up don't notice me again. Mm-hmm. So like I think they were mainly going with like battling isn't always the best option to do to get what you want to get out of the game.
So is that not? And the best example I can think of is Splinter Cell games from a long time ago, where the game really forced you. It's like, if you get caught, you're getting shot at, and you will get killed, and like you will lose all your progress. And yeah, I think somebody's taken that kind of idea. It's like, if you're stealthy, you can play Splinter Cell like no kill.
Yeah, you can like get through the game, no problem.
Yeah, as soon as you move too fast, that's it. You're getting shot at, and you're done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that. I've tried to be stealthy, and it does always pay off a little bit better.
I've seen the arguments like that's why they give you the grit and the different items and things to increase your Pokemon stats, like so.
Nah, but that doesn't even work.
So one, I theoretically understand because the game does give you a lot of random grit for the different stat distributions or whatever. So I understand theoretically that's how you would be taking less damage. That's how you would do more, right? But it's kind of a system that really is like the sunken cost fallacy. Like, if I invest 200 defense grit into my Scizor, well, then I'm not really incentivized to switch my party around when I get new members because I've invested so much into that Scizor already. You know what I mean? So, like, that's one of the, like, I've seen that arguments. Like, the game does give you tools to mitigate damage and whatnot, but there's no leftovers or held items in general, but leftovers or things like that. Early on, I know later on you can just buy materials and buy items and stuff like that, but your resources are kind of scarce early on, at least. So, like, if you're taking all this extra damage and you use up all your potions, you're like, well, guess I gotta wait to get back to the thing to make more potions, and I'm kind of in a groove right now catching these Pokemon. I don't want to go back to the camp just to make more and stuff. So, like, that's where some of the moments would, like, get me, which can be a benefit, right? It's like using my materials scarcely and efficiently, and, you know, not just going into every battle and max potioning after the end of it. So I have to think strategically, like, no, I don't want to fight this Buizel. No, I don't want to fight this Geodude. But yes, I do want to fight this Tangela or something like that. So being more careful with my resources was a benefit to it. So, but what did we think of the battle style? Because I'm gonna say right now, I have absolutely no idea what's going on with agile style, with strong style, with sometimes you switch in and eat a hit, and other times you switch in, but then it's still your turn. Like, I have no idea what's going on with this battle system.
It was like completely random. Like, I could never tell. Like, sometimes it'd be like, okay, if I use the agile style, then I'll get to go again, possibly. But it never worked out like that for me. It was always just like kind of a bum rush of a mess, which
it would sometimes works out, and that's what's frustrating. Is sometimes it would work how you expected it to, which would get you into the position of thinking that is how it worked, and then the game kind of betrays you in its system when it doesn't work like that.
You guys are playing, just to be sure, you guys are playing with, like, the turn order list open, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
So that's kind of...
I had it open.
My test bed is, if I'm going to attack and I'm thinking, all right, I need to sneak into attacks, like, I'll try agile style and I'll try strong style and, like, see how that affects things. But I do agree. I feel a lot of the time it didn't make a change enough. And, like, when you're staring down 4 Pokemon anyway, it's not going to fly. So,
and the horde, especially the horde battles, does, because, like, sometimes I'll just say the Electivire again. Sometimes he'll hit you 2 times in a row, and I didn't use a strong attack, and I'm like, you know, so I'm getting just beaten down by 3 Pokemon at once, and they get 2 hits off on my Gastrodon, who was my MVP, by the way, in my playthrough. And, like, so he's got to tank 5 hits before he can attack again, but there's only 3 opposing Pokemon. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
It's certainly unrefined, and I think to kind of zoom out a little bit, I think there's a lot of things in Legends Arceus that, seeing where the new games are going, I do think there's a lot of testing going on, and you know, there's only so much user feedback you can get on a new game secretly. So I'm not accusing this of being like a purely test game. I do think I have some other beefs with it, but I can see the side of it where it's like, all right, let's just throw everything new in this new product, and we'll see what sticks.
I love the statuses. We should keep statuses moving forward now.
Agreed, but think how many things have been overhauled in this game. You know, the statuses, the weathers, and you know, we've started looking at this new battle system, this new leveling and training system. It really is a complete overhaul, and I really hope that stuff like this battle system, because I mean, there's no need. This game is not going to be balanced for competitive. You know, it's not going to be balanced for a lot of things. It's just a really good, fun test bed to have a good time with. But it's a collection of hits and misses in my book, right? Like the catching is so much nicer. Like I don't have to go into a full animated battle to catch, but like the battling's a bit awkward when I don't get to go into a full battle menu to battle. So
yeah, I
it's
didn't.
like it works in one side, it doesn't work on the other. Like, and I hope that lesson is being learned for Scarlet and Violet.
So I have a question for both of you.
Well, first of all, Joe, real quick, I do want to say the amount of times I had to click R3 like up just to see the enemy's health, like because it's just not like that's an issue that hopefully is not in Scarlet and Violet. Like it should like the camera should automatically be fixed once you start a battle to be able to see both Pokemon's health. That was ridiculous how often that.
Yeah, that was kind of nuts. But that's kind of leading into my other thing I was gonna say is, was it just me, or were you guys as well, before you would attack, were you also running around the battlefield? Because at one point when I was fighting like a trainer, I would run next to them and fight I would do the battle while I was standing right next to the other trainer.
As soon as I realized you could do stuff like that, I was all over the place. And like, it does give you that, the kind of anime style of like, oh, I'm going to get on the sidelines and cheer him on.
Yep.
But then you're also like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah,
it is a weird experience, especially because like you could like be dramatic if you wanted, right? And like say my Gastrodon, who was my MVP by the way, is about to get hit by a grass knot, and I'm just going no, and I jump in front, and it doesn't do anything. All it does is hurt myself. But like you could theoretically be over dramatic like that, which is fun.
There was a lot of room for expression. Like it was nice to get off the rails. Is the big thing. To have those taken away is so nice, particularly as somebody who's grown up with games and has got older.
Unfortunate that you've grown older. Not me.
No, still.
I was never drove around. Along those sides of the evolution, like the evolution of the ride Pokemon and the ride mechanic is an absolute W. That's like the best thing I can say about this game are your ride Pokemon that you use. From how it started in Gen 7, like it's like, oh, you can fly on a Charizard because we need a mechanic because we don't have HMs anymore, but Charizard's not native to the Alolan regions, so why are you flying on a Charizard? Like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, and like you use the Tauros to smash things and whatever. This time around, like a great idea that all 5 of the ride Pokemon, I think it's 5. Is it 4 or is it 5? I think it's 5. It is. Hold on, it's Basculegion.
It's 5.
It's 5.
It's
cool.
5.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All 5 of the ride Pokemon are Hisuian variants, which is a fantastic design decision out of them to do, and they actually feel like naturally a part of the world, different than the Charizard ride did, or using the Corviknight taxi in Sword and Shield, or any of the different stuff. Like I'm like, no, I believe this Sneasler just goes around climbing rocks all day.
Well, they're also protectors of that area, which I thought was pretty cool too. Where it's like, this is the like they have wardens and they have like these people that watch over them and work together with them.
Yeah,
which was like, I was like, this is pretty cool. Like this is an interesting thing that we're doing right now. Like cool. So yeah, I thought it was also really fun, and I'm also enjoying how you have to complete the Pokedex, you also have to like catch that type of Pokemon. So it's just a very interesting thing to have. It's like, oh, not only am I flying on this one that's supposed to be super special, but I also have this Pokemon in my party now to use to fight battles and stuff, which was kind of fun. I had fun doing that.
One thing I don't like though, which I understand why they don't, I'm sure just it's probably just a hassle, but like I was playing the other day and I saw a Gyarados flying in the air, and while I was on Braviary, I can't throw a Pokeball at it. And I understand why, because it's like, oh, what's this 15-year-old kid going to hang on with his left hand and chuck Pokeballs in the air at a Gyarados? Like, I understand logistically, but I'm able to throw Pokeballs at the Magikarp in the water when I'm riding on Basculegion. You know what I mean? But then you can't throw a Pokeball when you're on Weirdeer, so it's just like kind of like inconsistent things like that. But like overall, the ride mechanics was like my probably in general my highest glowing opinion about the game.
So the ride mechanics kind of pivot me to I think the point. I don't really want to harp on it too long, but we have to now address another game on the Switch that successfully used ride mechanics. You know, we've already talked about, okay, the stealth is stolen from Splinter Cell. How much is taken from Breath of the Wild?
Oh,
I want your both your opinions.
The music, because the rocks, the glider with Braviary, it's very heavy. The grass, the dodge roll, the crafting resources, it's very heavily inspired from Breath of the Wild.
Not only that, have you noticed that when you get hit, your character makes a noise? Like it makes a sound?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that it sounds almost exactly like Link does in Breath of the Wild?
That's funny.
Yeah. I think what really gave it away to me was the menus. So like I was in the menus, I was doing some crafting, and I was like,
yeah, you're right.
I played this game, and
I've done this before.
Yeah, like the way everything moved and got pushed around, like the ride mechanic was, like the glider and stuff from Breath of the Wild. But yeah, there is a lot of that game that is just, and don't get me wrong, I don't blame the team behind it at all, because for how many years did they have to listen to people, not myself, but people, say, why can't Breath of the Wild just be Pokemon?
Yeah, I'm people. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm people. Who said that?
Fans made their own version, and then they do it, and the game comes out, and people go, "Oh, it's a lot like Breath of the Wild, though, isn't it?" But what were they meant to do?
Well, I don't know about Legends game because it's a little bit too much like Breath of the Wild. Oh, well, go.
Yeah. Ooh, I asked for Breath of the Wild, but not this Breath of the Wild.
I asked for Breath of the Wild, but not Breath of the Wild.
Did you ask Breath of the Wild if this was okay? Because I don't know if this is okay.
Did he steal Miyamoto's code or something like that? Did Masuda take lift the code from the Zelda team? Because there's definitely I think for me, like you said, it was the menus. It's the music, the subtle music when it is there or lack thereof, where a lot of times there isn't music in areas that really. You're also playing a flute like in Ocarina, right? I know there's no Ocarina in Breath of the Wild, but like there's obviously a rich history of those flute like musical items in Zelda games. Like so, for me, it was the music and those general tones that reminded me so much of Breath of the Wild. Not a problem, right? Because like I wish Link had a Sneasler when I'm going around in the sand, in Breath of the Wild. That would have made my life a lot easier.
No, you think about it now and you're like, yeah, this is just. I think even the way the camps operate as well, the way they focus you like it, you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely Breath of the Wild.
Oh wait, hold on. As we're talking, because I just thought about the Sneasler. Can we talk about the Sui Variants? Because we haven't really discussed it. Yeah. Where are we? Because it's kind of like Legends Arceus is like Hisuian form is just poison form. Because they just make so many things poison. Like Sneasler's fighting poison for some reason. The Quillfish stays poison and is poison dark now instead of poison water. Like it just seems like a lot of stuff became poison. And then the one Pokemon that should have been the Goodra, Hisuian Goodra, is now a steel type when it definitely looked like it should have been a poison type. Like so what with the starters, obviously we'll start there, but both of your opinions on the Hisuian forms overall.
Starters are really. I've only got to Decidueye. Not a Decidueye fan. Prefer regular Decidueye.
Yeah, I was hoping for that.
Seeing the Typhlosion Samurott, I think they're quite cool. The rest, it's very hit or miss for me. Did we need another Arcanine? Like Vanilla Arcanine was kind of the way to go for me. And then I just got to say it, there was no need for another Genie. absolutely no need.
Dude, what?
We've been tortured by these for long enough.
It's also not even the correct generation. That's what kills me about a lot of these. Like, I remember Joe and I talked about when they first showed off Sui and Braviary. I'm like, Braviary didn't even come out till Gen 5. How is he in Gen 4's region? I'm like, Joe's like, he goes extinct, so he used to be there, now he's not. And I'm like, okay, well, now with Pokemon Home, Sui and Braviary is gonna be unextinct when I bring it into Generation 9. You know, and we've seen Hisuian Zoroark in the trailer for Scarlet and Violet, so we know these Hisuian forms are living in other games on the Switch. Like, so I think a lot of them are weird because it's like, are these quote unquote canon, or like, are these real alternate forms? Are they just the Hisui? Like, are we gonna have Cleavor in VGC? Are we gonna have Ursaluna in VGC? Like, or no? And that's like, so that's speculation we can't answer on, so I'm not gonna hold it against the game. But I do think there is an inherently cool feeling about when you see a regional variant without like seeing it, like or knowing about it. Like, my example from Sword and Shield was the Berserker. I didn't see that in any of the lead up to it, and just that moment of me and my brother trying to figure out the typing and trying to figure out what to hit it with and all this stuff. I felt that same feeling in this game too, with the Sneasler and with, you know, all the Ursaluna and different Pokemon and stuff. I'm like, what on earth? And Goodra, what is this typing? Oh, this move's ineffective. Oh, I thought it would be super effective. Like, that is probably the most fun parts about the regional variants for me.
That's pretty.
I like that. The one thing, and I don't want to sound like a super nerd, but like, how do these Pokemon historically make sense?
Yes.
That's my question. Like, you know, this game is set before all the other games, and before Sinnoh is Sinnoh, and you know, why has nobody talked about, hey, the Arcanines used to look different?
Right.
It's a little weird when we just have these Pokemon that appear that nobody's ever talked about before and nobody has any record of.
Well, you gotta also think about it like this. It's like you have an idea. Like, I kind of do this a lot when I play D&D, when I DM my game. I like come up with an idea and I'm like, oh, like crap. Like, I want to use this idea, but I never mentioned it earlier. Well, I guess I'll just retcon it. And you kind of just like make up a story of why it'll fit in. And like, this is why it was never read about or understood, which I'm sure will happen when Scarlet and Violet come out. They'll be like, oh yeah, this was never really documented because of this and that and all these other reasons. But like, it's hard. Like, when were they supposed to talk? Like, how long ago were they going to know that they were going to make this game? And then how were they supposed to like allude to it in the other games?
I just think all Pokemon should have been Gen 4 and before any variants. Yep. That's just my opinion on it.
I think that they should go and re-release every game from Red and Blue onwards and say that the Arcanines and the Growlithe used to look different.
Yes.
I want re-releases and edits. You know, you got Virtual Console now.
Go back in the anime, because it's on Netflix, and change just one Growlithe in the anime to the new Rock Growlithe. One of them.
Only one of them.
Oh, I also want to say it's for Joe. I sent this to Adam when it happened, but I looked up because I had no time. I was trying to beat the game so we could talk about it, and I had no interest in all the Reggie, nonsense or whatever. So I was looking up the legendary things, and I'm reading. I see like an IGN walkthrough on all of them, and I see at one point, I think it's with the Azelf legendary thing where you just like throw Pokeballs and he just dodges until he decides to stop dodging, which is a really cool mechanic. But before that, you fight Alpha Overquill, which is the new Quillfish Hisuian form. So on their site, I already showed this to Adam, but Joe, Alpha Overquill is a dark poison type Pokemon. This should make it weak to a number of different attacks, including Fairy, Fighting, Ghost, and Steel. Joe Perrion, quite literally none of those types are super effective against a dark and a poison type. And that is all 4 of the types they suggested to hit it with. Like, saying it's weak to steel, you might as well say it's weak to normal. Like, how does that person, like, how is that person allowed to post that on the internet?
They weren't. They just did it.
Just first of all, Fairy is neutral on Dark Poison. Fighting, neutral. Dark. Ghost is resisted. Where did you get that from? And Steel is not effective. It's not super effective on either of Dark or Poison. Like, what are we doing here, IGN?
And we didn't even go to like the obvious one, ground.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the weakness? Because that is the weakness of Dark Poison.
I think it's interesting. I don't want to dog on IGN because I do, sometimes peruse their goods and wares, but their like increased interest in Pokemon recently has been really jarring. Because before they'd always like review the main game and just like, yeah, it came out, that was cool, it was a game. But like the past few years, because of the hype around the TCG and stuff as well, they've been like, oh, we're really into Pokemon, and you're like, hold on, whoa! Like they never talked about it for years, and now they're like, but trust us, we love it.
And we're experts.
Well, here's another thing that might have happened to like explain that is like maybe IGN just had like a bunch of like a mass exodus and like a rehiring of a bunch of stuff, and they hired a bunch of people that were like, I'm really into Pokemon and we're gonna write about it, and they're like, okay.
I mean, I think the negative corporate side of me was probably like, somebody did an analysis of Google searches and realized that a lot of people have been Googling Pokemon recently, and they're like, right, team, come on, guys, get the old training articles out. And there are some good people at IGN who do some, good work on the Pokemon stuff, but
I just think it's funny. They literally, it's not even like they said psychic, like unknowing that Dark was immune to it. So you would, like, at first I thought they just Googled things weak to Dark and things weak to Poison and just put it in there. But then you have Steel somehow, which doesn't make sense. I can't even give them the benefit of the doubt anymore on how they came up with. And Ghost is resisted. Neither of those I'm just flabbergasted.
Basically, if anyone from IGN is listening,
highly unlikely, but yeah.
Well, we're doing the positive vibes thing.
Send it out to the universe. Yeah,
manifesting now. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Give one time, Joe.
I've seen some young ladies talk about it on TikTok. Anyway,
let me get my dream board up real quick.
Yeah. Don't forget, if you don't have your dream catcher up, you won't catch any of those good dreams at night.
Yeah.
But
it's not what they're used for, but continue.
I have no idea what a dream catcher is for.
It's to catch nightmares so you don't get like
why would you catch them?
Why is it not like called a nightmare catcher then?
It's to prevent you from having bad dreams. Like it's supposed to catch the bad ones so you keep the good ones.
Okay, so the nightmares coming out of me and being caught in the dream catcher.
No, it's supposed to be caught before it reaches you.
Before it comes into you.
I don't think that's how they work. But alas, back to my point.
Dude, they're just like things that people made up. Like, of course it's not how they work.
Anyway, if anyone from IGN is listening and you need consulting on the fact-checking side of your articles,
Joe Brown and you.
Yeah. Just text me, hey, what is Dark weak to? And I won't respond Steel. That's for sure.
Yeah, just text Joe. He's got it.
Oh my God.
He's looking for a job anyway.
Yeah, sure am. Well, I say we start to wrap it up. So let's end it on this last point here. What is next? And I don't literally mean next, as we know Scarlet and Violet is coming out in November. But I mean, like, is there going to be another Legends? Like, I know people have said they want to see a Legends Celebi where you go through the old Johto where Ho-Oh and Lugia were and Suicune and the crew were all thriving, like seeing something like that. Or is the...
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
That would be cool, right? So do you think do you think Legends can become a series? Because remember, everyone thought Let's Go Johto was going to be a thing and we never got it.
100% yes. I think I don't know, obviously, anything from the inside of how the game was being pitched or discussed, but I would like to think that the team behind the game have been pleasantly surprised at the response. If they're seeing it as this cool test bed for new ideas, awesome. I'm fine with that as long as that's kind of always the expectation. Every region has so much lore, and as you can probably tell by my earlier comments, like I do have quite an interest in it. So to see a Legends Celebi would be cool. There's something in every region that I think could do that, and if they came out to bridge that gap between main games, maybe they could push some of the reworks down the line or the remakes, because we don't need a remake between every game if we're also getting Legends.
Right.
I think it really could help. I don't feel the need to introduce as much new stuff every time. Like, let's just tell the story of the region, and try out anything new you want for the next game. That's sort of where I see the series going. Because obviously where we are on the remake schedule, we're up to Gen 5 now, Black and White, which still feels relatively, maybe dating myself. Maybe it's a bit new, like it doesn't feel that long ago. Even though it doesn't 11 12 years now at this point.
I think you're just trying to not feel old by saying it doesn't feel like a long time ago, because it's been over a decade.
Yeah, but no, I think I'd explore.
Does that make you feel old
over again?
Yeah, dude, it does make me feel old. Like
we were in college. Well, I guess I was in high school with Black and White, and then in college with Black and White too. So
it was my freshman year of college for Black and White. Well, I was just also thinking today, because I just turned 30 like 2 weeks ago. I was just thinking, I was like, thanks. Remember, you were texting me, and you were and I had to tell you that it was my birthday.
Why would you out me like that?
Because I think it's funny.
It is just not the full context, but continue.
Anyway, I was thinking, I was like, man, it's gonna be like my 10-year college like reunion soon, which is like absurd because I'm playing Pokemon and I'm like, I gotta get home and play video games, and I'm 30 years old, which I'm fine with, but like at the same time, it's like, damn, son, I'm 30 now. Like, what happened? My bones ache.
I had the same realization recently. So I'm 30 this year, upcoming.
Hell yeah, bro.
And I was playing some video games in the comfort of my own home, and I managed to like tweak a nerve. Just sat in my seat playing games. I was like, oh, well, I'm old, but I've still got this game to play. And it hits a little bit different at that point.
Borderlands isn't going to play itself.
Hey, Borderlands 3, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. And I'm excited for Tiny Tina's stuff that's coming out in 23 days.
3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Also, I want to since you're both Borderlands fans, the first Tiny Tina's game is free on PSN right now. I don't know what it's called.
Oh, the DLC?
It. Yeah, that's free on the PSN right now if you both want to relive that while you wait for Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
I own it on the PC, though.
Unrelated note to anything Pokemon, I think as far as DLC packages go, and maybe something to peruse for next time, I think the Tiny Tina's DLC is like the best DLC to go with anything.
Oh my god, that was...
it was just such ungodly good quality, and it played not only into its own thing, so it stood on its own, but it also played really well in with the main game.
I loved it. I loved it.
It's exactly what you want from DLC. I think all the Borderlands DLC is by and large good, but Tiny Tina's is another level.
Oh my god. Have to agree with you. Very excited about the new one that's coming up. I've seen that Gearbox has decided to not only let you like pick what class you want to be, but they're allowing you to fully customize your character now.
Ooh.
Like sliders all over the place, baby.
I've only seen one review, and it might be the most biased review of the thing.
Yeah.
So the head of Gearbox, Randy Pitchford.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was Mrs. Pitchford put her review out on Twitter today, and I was like, you know what?
No.
Probably not going to be of good value here.
But what if she trashed it? Then it would be a really good value.
She'd be like, "Oh man, she knows what's up."
She said it was like the best thing she's played from Gearbox. I was like, really?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm excited because who's it? It's what's her name? Ashley Birch.
Yep.
Voices Tiny Tina, and I love her. All right, we got to get going because
we gotta go. Adam, thank you for coming out. We love you. Real quick, before Joe closes it out, we'll see you for Gen 10, obviously, because that's how this works. But where can people reach you?
Mainly on. I mean, I haven't really been social mediaing recently.
Good.
It's probably a bad thing, but also a good thing. It's super healthy. But yeah, I do still have a Twitter at Dozzleon. Find me on there, and when I do things, which is kind of the goal for this year, that's where I'll post all the updates and such.
No Instagram?
It's just the same thing. I use the same handle on everything, and it's really bad because people at work find me super easily. But yeah, the same thing on Instagram. And hopefully this year I'll get more involved in the video games.
Yeah. They find you and then they find your link to your OnlyFans and you're like, oh no.
I did change my username for that one.
What's worse? God. What's worse, Daz's OnlyFans or his TikTok? That's what I need to know.
I did make sure that TikTok was cleansed. Because one of the guys, there's a complete tangent, but before we sign off, if you send links to people on TikTok, it shows you the user of who sent them.
So
no.
That's my piece of advice to sign off on. When you send a TikTok link, it shows you who sent it, and it also shows you who saw it. So watch what you're doing.
Well, on that note, thanks for joining us for another episode of Cup of Joes. Thank you, Daz, for being with us, and we'll see you all on the next episode of Cup of Joes.